your work over the years, and from what you've explained, tells me that you're familiar with like very high stakes environment. Um, you've dealt with like multiple stakeholders, both above and maybe below you. Diverse teams, tight deadlines. So, how did you get into all that? This question's for you. Were you thrown into it, or did you get there slowly?
Thank you. I think for me, I would say I got there slowly without knowing, because of course there were, ways I came. So for one, I've been always been very active in church. So, there was all the training of leadership and everything. Then in the workplace, I think I was thrown in the workplace. I was just thrown into it. More or less, like I said, I was working with someone who was fantastic, and she had been training me without me really understanding that that's what it was. And when the opportunity came in, she just thought, okay, you're good for this. And there I found myself in. But one thing which I always say that has always worked for me was I was blessed with mentors, who kind of helped guide. I think anybody that knows me, I can't have a conversation about my journey without speaking about one of my bosses. I can't, because she was there, guiding all the way till where I was. Yes, so that's it. Thank you.
In other words, leaders make leaders. Okay. Good, good leaders make good leaders. Yes, thank you. So, but in your first leadership role, did you have any? Did you stumble a little, like a baby taking first steps? Even though yes, you've learned from mentors, but did you make your own mistakes? Did you come into your own at a point?
Yes. Yemi, I had asked something to say, was there anyone who worked with someone older? Ha! That was my biggest challenge. I worked with someone who was much older than I am. So, who has the experience to say, no, would I say the experience or the age? And looks at you to say, this small girl. That kind, yes. So for me, that was a lot. So while I was also trying to navigate, when you're working with someone, you're trying to not really work on eggshells, but you're trying to ensure you get the best out of the person, but also get the work done. Because there's that problem where it's like you don't know where to draw the line. If I say this, how do I demand accountability without the person feeling like I am? Is it looking down on? I don't know what's the word. It's not disrespecting, or how do you give feedback to say this is wrong? This is not right, without the person thinking like I have been doing this thing before you. Like I said, especially for someone who I was. So they have seen me in a lower position, and now see me given a higher responsibility. So you see, the challenge was really tough for me, and it's not something I pray people go through. But then, navigate, that was one. Also, self-awareness was also something that, I am very big on knowing myself. So, I have my self-reflection moments. So knowing myself, I call it a come to Jesus conversation with myself. So, I was big on that. That also helped me navigate. Then, finally, one thing, I had the support of my boss, who was very objective. It was so funny because whenever I come complaining about this subordinate, she would always say, this is when they put two women together, this is the problem. She was always saying that it's a women problem, just to laugh at us, like two women. But she was very objective to, she empowered me really to make people see that no matter what, she's there, she's your boss, you have to. Is what she's saying right? Yes, and everything. So focus on the issues. Let's forget other things. So yes, those were it for me.
Okay, thank you. I want Yemi to answer this question. To your point, so what do you think of leaders having leaders? Of course, it's a good thing, but what do you recommend, even as they lead, whether it's a startup, whether you are an employee that is senior, how far should they take it, and what impact can it have in their own personal journey as leaders?
All right, so I want to believe that we would have had some sort of experience before we become founders. It may be 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or maybe 1 year at least NYC, right? But what I'd love to say is, in your experience or in your leadership journey, please always remember that you are carrying forward things you have learned, what to do and what not to do as leaders. So in my direct marketing career journey, was in that organization for 3 years. The reverse was the case for me. I was reporting to somebody younger, and this guy made life difficult for me. I mean, you said, of course, yes, yeah. I mean, to the point that I went on a number of occasions into the bathroom to actually let it out, if you know what I mean. And then I determined that when I become a leader, a manager, I was a client service executive. It was my client service manager, that I wasn't going to be like that guy, that I wasn't going to let anybody go through that sort of situation because of my leadership um, incapabilities, right? And believe me, in that same organization, there was a time I traveled with 12 contract staff to Meduguri, Yola, Jalingo for a Rothman's Groove event. And by the time we're coming back to Lagos in the plane, Cabo Air, in 1998 or 1999, all of them were weeping because that short assignment was over. I took it upon myself to be, I don't want to use the word father, I wasn't even married at that time, but to just show a leader that cared about them beyond the job that we're going to do. So, guys, your experiences, there's something that I say, damaged leaders, if we're not careful, leading other people will damage them further. So the first thing you need to do is please be aware of what you need not to do in managing other people. Don't say that because you were managed like that or led like that, you must cascade it or pass it down. No, don't leave damaged people in your leadership or business journey. So self-awareness, always important.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Just to say, it's kind of how our parents parented us, and we're tempted to
Same thing.
do the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to wrap up on this question before we take questions from, it's okay to learn online from, have online mentors.
Is that for me?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I've never had a mentor, never had a coach, but that's me talking in physical terms. But after I left MBA school, so I knew Zig Ziglar like the back of my hands. I read all his books. I knew Tony Robbins, Awakening the Giant Within. I read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I read Brian Tracy's Maximum Achievement. I read a book, I can't remember the author, Profiles of Success. I mean, and I still have all those books till today. These were days before GSM. So we had no option but to buy books and read books. So it's one thing to say I didn't have mentors, but I'd be lying because all the guys I mentioned right now, they've become mentors to me. Today, it's John Maxwell, Simon Sinek. I play about 2 or 3 of his videos. Gary Vaynerchuk. Who again am I missing now? And I still follow all the other guys. Jim Rohn. I mean, I read this book, Roadmap to Success. 19, I think it was in 1985. 1995. I mean, the contents of the book have stayed with me till today. So, yes, the opportunity to have physical mentors, please grab those opportunities. But if you can, because of your personality type and all that, at least online now, there's so many ways to access people who can lead us on our career journey. The last guy is Stephen Bartlett. He's a 32-year-old guy, but I am constantly in touch with that guy. Yeah? I think he won something on the best podcast. Yes. I mean, great guy, but he's just about 32 years. And Diary of the CEO. And I say he's my mentor. So, yes, I don't physically, but I have people who have mentored me over the years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're taking question.
Made mention of founders CEO. Well, how do you transcend, like have a transition from that founders mode to the CEO's mode? Because I realize that they are different, right? A founder is that person that like drives the vision, like came up with all these things. But a CEO can be anybody. It can be somebody who is employed, and it can be anybody who happens to be the founder himself. So how do you transit?
I just need to ask this question. Why are we stuck on this founder title?
That's good. Let's get you found something that nobody else has. Like get introspect.
Have that
But
persona, the vibe, the black T-shirt, guys.
Founder.
Yeah.
right? So I mean, where I'm going is traditionally, do you know how many businesses have survived decades without anybody talking about founder? Honestly, right? And I'm not saying dump it. I'm just saying understand your why around it. So CEOs can be founders as well. CEOs. So if anything, I'll say if you are stuck between founder and CEO, drop founder and just be the CEO. When I was going to settle on the title for my business, I mean I'm in the business of talent management. I just settled with chief talent officer. Now that's CTO, and in your space, technically that's the chief technical officer. So for me, that's disruption. I don't like CEO. I don't even like titles. But just that there must be something on your profile. I settle for chief talent officer, and it speaks to the things that I'm doing. You know what I mean? So don't struggle with it. If you're happy with the founder title, stay with it. But like she said, as a founder, you're still the CEO of the business. I don't think as a startup, you want to go rent somebody to come be the CEO. No. Yeah. But people do it at startup. Really interesting. I thought maybe at startup you want to, hey, this is my life. It must be rare. Right.
When you're fundraising, you want that person. We've had cases like that.
Interesting. Okay, so you won't be the founder who doesn't understand MVP in the lion's den. Did you see the video?
I saw
The guy finished himself.
Yeah, I felt it was weird. Maybe it was a viral. He was looking for a viral moment
I don't
because
know.
that's one of the first things you learn.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not in the title. No, he didn't have. What he said was like, "Oh, MVP, educate me."
No, so he had an
They're looking
idea
for
as a
funds.
founder, but didn't know. So I don't know. I'm just trying to give an excuse.
There's no excuse for it,
There's no way you want to ask somebody for money.
and you
don't
won't
know
know
what
MVP. Thank you. I mean, that post really went viral on my LinkedIn page, and some people were still arguing that MVP could be most valuable player. Context. We're talking football, yes, that or basketball, but we're talking business. We are in front of people who are going to part with their money, and you didn't know what MVP. So maybe, but is it possible for you? There's no maybe.
No, because we don't abbreviate. Maybe ICT. Maybe. But MVP should. That's why if you want to ask someone to give your money. Yes. You should not pay him. You should know him. No, you don't pay him. Some people struggle with the abbreviation. Okay, abbreviation. But if you say product market, you know
This
it.
guy is how far is that European not surveillance.
That
was weird.
Okay.
Yeah, as a follow up, right? At the early stage of a startup,
Yeah.
early stage, like infant stage,
Yeah.
right? And you are trying to bring in people to join you in building that product, right? Do you hire generalists, those with multi skills, or do you hire specialists at the early stage?
I don't think there is any route to success in that space. For me, I think it's a job description. You see, don't look for generalists or specialists. Stay on what they are coming to do for you.
You have limited funds.
Once you have your job description, that is what allows you to say, this is the persona that I'm looking for, right? If you can find somebody, and I was talking to someone who was trying to scale his business now, if you can find somebody who will do business development and maybe customer service because of skills, transferable skills, experience and all that, maybe you may combine roles at startup phase, maybe, but make sure that you're not combining and trying to save money, but the business itself is suffering. Be very careful. I think what you want is people to fulfill. I mean, you can't go and get a CFO to be doing your business development. You see what I mean? Because you are saying you're looking for a general. The guy says, "Oh, before I became a CFO, I was doing business development." Oh, okay. Let's combine the roles because you are saving money. That guy will make money for you, and he will make money from you or off you as well. So you need to be careful. Your job description, and don't scale too fast. I always say. I know. Organic growth. Honestly, deepen your processes. Yes, growth. There's a difference between growth and scale. Organic growth is extremely important at the startup phase. Scale is killing businesses, but they don't want to hear it, right?
I know. But how take the position? Like when the VC is saying scale, what they actually I think is saying that's 10x.
Correct.
It's just 10x. Now, however we deliver the 10x,
Right.
just having done
Right.
But I think if we can grow, and as we're growing, we're refining our sales processes, our product, and
Right.
we're doing all the feedback. Then when we're scaling something that has grown successfully. Okay, sorry.
No, like you're right. I give you like this range.
Yes,
Like
take this.
Do you want the microphone? Okay, so maybe so every other person can hear. Punishment. Solemn night. You said it.
Like when we're having a conversation, like I said that the quality of the some sort of for VC backed startups, because the gap, yes, because I mean, off of the top of my head, I know a lot of startups that probably don't have access to this, right? So a lot of times a lot of startups people like they work in organizations,
Right.
see an opportunity,
Right.
and they don't like when you work in corporate, you people underestimate just how not knowledgeable a lot. It's not like they're not intelligent or they're not brilliant. They just don't have access to that, and they're now in a situation whereby they have access to money. Their VCs are saying 10x. There are a lot of processes that are broken, right? And it
Like that,
takes
broken.
you now have to now dial back, or either another person just comes in, take over your market share, things like that. And there are a lot of startups that even that we know of that it's hard for them to go back to the fundamentals now because they've grown so big,
Yeah.
they have done so much raise that for you to say you want to go back, the person that invested in you at Series D will tell you, this is not why I invested in you. I need you to do in 18 months
Right.
this X. So you just say, okay, let's just continue.
But are we seeing those businesses dying or not?
I mean, they don't die, but you will just know that,
There are instances where businesses have packed up
yes.
because of the scale.
Oh, yes. Then there's some, you
pressure.
just see so many
Where's Bento
stories.
now? Is that?
We don't.
Are we on there? Oh, okay. I mean, okay, so
But they've officially
So in the long run, like I was telling her, it is the VCs that get hurt.
yes,
Because, and
they are
you
the ones
leave
losing money.
losing money, then you. Huh? I mean, it's a numbers game, right, for the VCs, right?
So they
But
make some money upfront.
it doesn't help. It doesn't help the whole ecosystem. The assumption is out of 20, out of 21 will be that perfect.
So they already have those.
Oh, yeah,
assumptions
they
upfront.
do. So, for example, there's a fund that invested in Money Point, right?
Recently.
The 150x that they did on Money Point
Yeah.
covered. So
losses.
all the losses, the bad ones, the average ones. So when they look at that now, that's success.
okay.
So
I get you. I get you. Right.
But inside the fund,
Right.
there's a lot that goes on.
Isn't that too early to call as well? The name we just mentioned. Is it not still too early to call?
they've exited. The fund has exited.
Oh, they have.
They have exited. So I mean, it's out there in the news. They did a.
I think Money Point should be studied because they did it's almost like they use a playbook of how a startup should work transition into an enterprise.
Yes, because he worked in InterSwitch.
Yes, he worked in
So
it, but I
that-
also think Tosin himself as a founder had very strong emotional intelligence.
Awesome.
Built the culture in
comments.
Money Point. Let's be honest.
So-
The
so-
culture in Money Point, they are able to attract talent.
Yes.
One, and then two,
Because of the founder.
and then they
Also, they did not start out as a startup. They started as a consulting, technology consulting.
I know people say that, but I disagree. Because the product had an MVP. It was a startup.
No, because if you remember, Tosin used to always say that he wasn't going to collect money from VC. There are videos where he was like, I'm not collecting money from VC, right? And I also think it's time and chance. So they built a subset of Money Point for a bank, right? And COVID now happened. So then COVID now happened. But you are right too, because they had deep processes, they could scale very fast. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
What works.
Yeah,
So I
you're
see
right.
people that you haven't really grown deep.
Money points went deep.
No, money
They had
points-
integration wise,
Their
relationships, APIs was
even the way they're building.
yeah.
You
Even till now,
Yeah,
they are not.
building on
They're not.
something
Yeah,
that
they kept
works.
building on infrastructure. Yeah, right.
So that's what they're doing.
Great case study. Great case study. Awesome. So organic growth, only scale what you've deepened, what will work. Awesome.